Hey, what's up, guys? How are we doing? I'm back for another edition of Cliff Notes. We'll get you caught up on everything heading into Daytona. We were just at Arlington, where Eli Tomac once again proved he's the triple crown king. Say that 5 times. Triple crown king. I can't do it. Anyway, dude's bad. I mean, he went 3-2-2 for first overall. In the last race, it's questionable whether he could have got Jason Anderson or not. I don't know. You guys have to tell me whether you think he fought hard for it or he kind of just let Jason go. But Jason, boy, threw it away. So this is A1 with the incident with Barsha, San Diego, the radiator cap, Glendale where he landed on the tough block, and now Arlington where he takes out Mookie. That's a lot of points to give away when you're going for a championship. If Jason loses his title, he's going to look back at least those 4 rounds and be like, dude, what was I doing? Speaking of Malcolm, he looks really good. He looked like he was going to get his first segment win or moto win of the Triple Crown until Anderson came in on him. And I want to blame Anderson because it was Anderson's fault. But Malcolm has a history of not knowing where other riders around him are. Look at what happened with him and Marvin. Yes, that was Marvin's fault. But that doesn't mean, just because it's someone else's fault, doesn't mean you couldn't have avoided it. And that's my only point with Malcolm is he needs to be aware of who's around him. You don't see Cooper Webb doing that. You don't see Eli Tomac doing that. Those guys understand the racers around them, and they ride accordingly. When Webb passed Barsha and literally went all the way to the outside, it was brilliant. But he knew who he just passed. So even if you have the line, you just and I did love that was beautiful how he shoved Anderson down. Malcolm did, and he made it look accidental. It was not accidental, and I imagine it took a lot of self-restraint not to throw a punch or just throw a knee or get a lot worse than he did. He kind of caught himself, just ran him over, got going. But that may come back to haunt Anderson later on in the series when it gets close and he's looking for guys to kind of just let him and Eli race. Malcolm's doing Jason no favors, that I can promise. Cooper Webb, he's looking better. I mean, he got a win. That one right there, it was kind of handed to him. But with Cooper Webb, everyone says lucky. Listen, the guy always puts himself in a spot to get lucky. He wills it to happen, whatever he does. He's having a bad year. He's getting better, but I still don't think that he's going to be a title contender. I think he's looking respectable. And I'll call it that. Heading into Daytona, they better stop. If him and Anderson don't finish in front of Eli, this thing could get out of hand quickly. So, yeah, it's 6 points right now between Tomac and Anderson, and any much more will be, I mean, even if Anderson gets second, that's 9 points. It could get out of hand quickly. It puts a lot of pressure on Anderson for the race after, which I believe is Indianapolis. I'd have to double check though. Sexton. He looked a little tentative, and rightfully so. He was knocked the fuck out last week. So, yeah, I would have think that was probably stupid to have him ride. I mean, the dude's 35 points out. Is it really worth the risk? Like, he's 35 points out. Hate to break it to him. He's not winning the title this year. He's just not. There's too many good guys in front of him. He might get a couple race wins, but I just don't think the risk versus reward on that concussion return, sure, a podium, but right now with him, it's all about wins. Marvin Musquin, has anyone looked better and finished worse this year? I love Marvin. He doesn't have a ride after this Supercross series, and I don't know that anyone's going to give him a ride if he can't get some results. It's not fair, but unfortunately life's not fair. Dylan Ferrandis, he has got to be frustrated. It's getting sad to watch how bad his starts are. I mean, privateers going around him. He might as well just let the pack go and just start picking them off. That way he's at least not caught up in a first turn melee. Not really, but it sucks to see a guy with all the tools except for one. But it's that competitive of a field that you just can't give those guys that. Ken Roczen. I took so much shit for asking the question whether his heart was in it, whether he wanted to be there. And there's no problem. I have no problem saying Ken Roczen right off in the sunset. One of the baddest dudes to ever throw a leg over a motorcycle. He clearly doesn't want to be out there. I don't want to see him get hurt when he's out there half-assing it, because that's not his effort. Like, we all know what he's capable of. He is so, the guy won a race this season. To be getting lapped at Triple Crowns, unacceptable. If I'm Team Honda, I'd probably say, hey guys, listen, Ken, you got to go home. We're going to tell people you tweaked your back and you're going to go home, or your illness, because that's something that we've been dealing with for a long time. Go home, get your head straight, and, you know, if you want to come back, come back. If not, we'll figure out a buyout and let you go. They say he wants to ride again next year. If I'm a team manager, I don't want him on my team. Well, I probably would, because it's Ken Roczen, but gosh, it's tough. It's tough to see someone, and it's not that he's doing that bad, because I mean, honestly, he's one of the top guys in the world. But the problem is we know what he's capable of. We know how good he is, and we can all see this isn't his best. And I don't think anyone wants to see somebody in the past. I would say ride until they kick you off the bike, do whatever you want, make your money. But he might be hurting future income possibilities. So nowadays, you get Ryan Villapoto, Ryan Dungey, these guys that are off the bike, that are still able to make nice salaries as ambassadors and doing certain things. But if you stay out there and hurt your reputation, are you hurting future earnings? And now, is that worth it, or do you accept a buyout? So that's something him and his agents would have to talk about. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough for me to watch. Shane McElrath, he's looking pretty good. He's getting up there, battling, staying up there a little bit longer. And then this weekend, guys, in Daytona, one of my favorite riders, Garrett Marchbanks, out of Colville, Utah, is moving to the 450 class. They call him the man-child because he's 6 foot. I believe he's 6'1", 190, and the guy's built for a 450. He rides it really good. I'm excited to see how he does. I think he'll be right in that group with Dean Wilson, Shane McElrath, and those guys. So anyway, watch for him. And the 250s, East, Cameron McAdoo has a red plate. Looked really good. He was riding really smart. Looks like he's put a lot of the mistakes that he had and the crazy stuff. Hey guys, maybe he was concussed last year at Atlanta. Maybe that's why he was whackers. Jet had a bad weekend, horribly bad weekend, but he's still tied to the lead. So, I mean, he's doing really well considering what happened. That was horrific. I don't want to go into it. We've already gone over that in the other video. Jeremy Martin. He looked horrible at Arlington. It was like, are you serious? Is this really a 2-time national champion, a guy who's won Supercrosses? And with his consistency and a little bit of luck, dude ended up 2nd overall. He's only a few points out of the lead. And they're going to Daytona. Daytona, he's good. He got 2nd on the 450 at Daytona. So, well, yeah, he could, if he wins Daytona, it could change everything and get his season rolling and put him right in the mix. Jet's got to stop with these mistakes, though. Unfortunately, Austin Forkner is out. He broke his collarbone, and he broke it on the same plate that he broke last year. When you break something that's already been broken, it's brutal. So they may have to go in and take it out. I don't know, and I haven't heard the details on what they're doing with his collarbone, but it's not good. And then a couple guys that got concussions, RJ Hampshire and Levi Kitchen, are both talking about racing this weekend. And I have to ask, why? Why? Okay, so if I were to bruise my knee and a doctor tells me, okay, you can ride this weekend, but if you twist it, you're going to go ahead and pop your ACL and you'll be out for the rest of the year. Or you wait 2 weeks and then you can dab your foot, no problem. That's essentially what they're doing with these concussions. Just because you can't see the bruise doesn't mean your brain doesn't need more healing. The brain is, and people go, oh, well, a neurologist cleared him. Guess what? Neurologists don't know shit about concussions. They don't know shit about the brain. It's so complex. Err on the side of caution. Now, if this is the last round and RJ's in it for the title or Kitchen's in it for the title, sure, maybe the risk versus reward and go out there and give it a shot and see if you can win the race or win the championship. But when you're talking about 2 guys that are Mid-pack points this year, really not a whole lot to gain, but a whole lot to lose. If you hit your head 2 weeks in a row, that's when bad things happen. I mean, okay, think about it. Hurt your shoulder and see if you can ride the next week. What's different? It's your brain. Just because it's inside your skull and nobody can see it, you can't see the bruise, you can't measure it with, with an arm test like you can a shoulder, that doesn't mean it's not hurt. It does things to your brain that, if you hit it again, it could change your personality. They check memory, but there's a lot more than just memory. There's impulse control. It's very, very elaborate. This stuff could hit these guys later in life. They may be fine now, but then, come 40, 50 years old, this stuff has a way of creeping up. And I'm not saying it will, because everyone's different. But why risk it? Why risk it? I don't understand if one weekend when you're racing this often and then you got outdoors, like there's enough races and these guys aren't championship contenders. Sit them down. Sit them down, people. Especially a rookie like Levi Kitchen. Are you kidding me? He goes out there and hits his head again. He might never have a career. Or he may lose the skills that he does have because you're on that razor's edge of talent. You just don't do it. It's a bad move. I hope that they just sit them out 1 week. That's it. It's no big deal. You're not costing them much. You're actually just preserving their careers. So anyway, thanks guys, and we'll catch you next week.